wow, this is actually sort of chilly and scary to realize that it's making this even more realistic. And when Jen hears this, I think she'll understand what I mean. But when me and her split up, it was right after Eric died. Because I went and I had sex with somebody else. I don't believe in cheating, but at the same time, that's what we would call it. I cheated. But I went and had sex with somebody else because I felt uncomfortable, and I don't need to explain all that stuff why, because it's really not a big deal. Honestly, it's not a big deal. And you'll get what I'm saying. So I go and I find out, that Jen had this big, huge thing that she said about meeting or seeing Eric in visions. And I was thinking to myself that she's never really seen him, so how the hell would she talk to Eric? But I don't think Eric's soul talked to me. I mean, I don't want to sound dumb because I don't want Phil to hear this and think I'm making a mockery of Eric. I loved Eric in his human form, and I loved Eric. I still love Eric in the human form that I remember him as. But I mean, there's no but about that at all. And what I want to say is that when Eric died and we were all together there, Jen said that she had this, Jen fainted and and I felt really mad at her, and actually it sort of started me cheating and the whole thing between us. But what that was Eric telling her to stay with me no matter what, because I am close to figuring everything out for the world. I know that sounds weird, but Jen started saying all of a sudden that she felt she had to travel the world as a missionary and speak the word of the Lord and all this kind of stuff. So she was close. But, I mean, it's going to be hard for her she's not going to believe this when I tell her. But this is what, I've decoded this in my mind. I know this sounds weird, but it was Eric trying to tell her. The reason she fainted, it was Eric trying to tell her to stay with me no matter what I did, because he knew that there was going to be some kind of mess up. I don't know, they went into the future or saw it or something. Eric had clairvoyant skills. Everyone that knew Eric knew that he could see something, like something in the future, just some vibe, something. But either way, Jen fainted that day because I think either Eric or another spirit was just trying to tell her to stay with me, and maybe it was even God. Maybe that's why she felt like she had to speak the word of God, because she felt such a presence that day, and I didn't understand it yet because I was drunk and I was mad and my friend was dead and I was mourning. I loved him, and so, and then she started getting real religious and in the church all these years. This is all these years later, and it all makes sense now, okay? She was still trying to reach out to what she thought was God because she felt that. And it reminded her of what she grew up talking about God and all that stuff, and her beliefs got rekindled, but she wanted to try a different way and all this kind of stuff. That all makes sense. And, she met Glenn, and they follow the church, and they have this whole philosophy on religion, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm sorry to say that, but I love them. I love them in an unconditional way, in a way that they don't even understand, and they would think I'm stupid if Dan, me, I walked up and said, "Hey, Jen, Glenn, I unconditionally love you, and I'm sorry for everything," and they wouldn't think that I meant it, but I mean it so much, so much. But anyway, so with Jen, my own kids, I've told them throughout their whole lives not to believe in, God that they talk about in church, not to believe in that stuff, not to believe in that. I know there's something greater, and I know that you might as well listen to me because I know more about it, blah, blah, blah. I used to say that kind of stuff all the time without even knowing that this was going to happen, that I was going to get all the answers. And I'm sorry if people don't believe me, but it all adds up. It all makes sense. That the law of attraction, the law of true belief, the law of divine timing, all those things added together through my life, through the people, through the events, through the everything. I understand things that happened before me that led to me today. I understand things that happened 1,700 years ago that led to what I'm doing today. I could try to go back and explain them for you, but it doesn't make any sense for our development of our future, of us as God. It doesn't make sense. So why even worry about doing that? Just to prove whatever? In order to prove something, what would be better for you? I will be the most entertaining person you will ever meet. I promise. I promise. Because I'm everything. I understand everything, and I can play every role now. I'm Dan, but I'm going to play every role. I don't care how silly I look, because I know that I'm living forever. I'm living forever. How awesome is that? When you know that, wouldn't you just do whatever? I think so. I'm not going to do anything violent. I love people. And that's a blessing. That's why God chose me, because I'm not going to hurt anybody or anything. Ask my mom and dad for maybe this was just my development, and I got to the point where I wouldn't hurt a bug. I wouldn't hurt a spider. I started talking to bugs and stuff like that because I started understanding. And I tuned into that frequency so strongly that it talked back. It talked back, and it's talking back, and I'm tuned into it completely. And if you don't understand or believe me, I mean, I'm not just making this stuff up. It's not just coming to my head. It's me explaining the stuff I know, explaining the stuff I already know, that we already know. That when you're listening to me, a little part of you wants to believe because you should. And it's amazing. I love you guys. I mean, I love you, Mom and Dad. I hope you guys end up listening to all these. I know they might be lengthy and long, but these really mean a lot. This is more important than anything. This is more important than the bills. This is more important than the news. You know, if I could get a hold of President Trump and said, hey, I want to save the world. If I can save the world. If I said that, even if it's just my attitude and my motivation, I can save the world. I know I can save the world. I believe deep in my soul that I can save the world. You have to be able to say that in order to do that. Do you get that? I hope you do, because I want everyone to start saying I can save the world and start believing it. Because the more you say it and the more you put yourself into it, you will believe it. Because we can. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones that make a better day. I'm just messing around. I was just showing, being funny. I know it's not funny because this is a serious topic, but at the same time, nothing is serious and nothing is bad and nothing is good. And, but we know that we sense things as good because we're humans. But once we aren't humans anymore, we realize that it wasn't really all that bad and all that good. It was just whatever. And sometimes, even in our human body, our minds understand a different level of reality than our bodies do. And you have to understand what I mean by that. I mean, that has to be pretty well put. Our minds understand a different level of reality than our bodies do, even though our bodies are a product of our mind at work. I mean, all those things are true, but there's so much going on at one time. It's amazing. I mean, all that stuff's going on without you consciously knowing. I'm consciously living in 2 or 3 dimensions at a time, sometimes 4. Sometimes the craziest stuff is happening, and I can't even put it into words, and I wish I could, because then if I get people following me, a couple people following me, 1 or 2, even some weird comic book weirdo heads, if they can get some people into whatever and start writing comic books based off of some of the ideas that I have, that we have, because they'll tap into the tune and they'll start creating some amazing, crazy stuff. I mean, when people are creative and they write amazing comic books and make up all these characters, people are like, where'd that come from? It actually came from God. It came from the God within them that creates. That makes sense, right? I hope it does, because that's what it is. And I'm not lying to you. I'm just telling you what we already know. Love you. Bye.